Hey there everybody, this is Connor Habib. I'm the repair shop manager here at Gottschalk Music Center. We've got a few requests from our teachers about how to clean string instruments, and since most of you are at home, we thought a helpful video would be handy to help you and your instruments stay healthy and safe while you might be practicing at home. Starting off cleaning a string instrument can be really daunting for a lot of people. There's a really pretty wood instrument in front of you and you don't know what to use or what's going on. Sometimes I find it helpful to understand what not to do first and why. With a lot of the COVID concerns, alcohol, 70%, 60% isopropyl alcohol, has been really helpful as a cleaning agent on a lot of surfaces. However, on most of a violin or viola or anything like that, we cannot use that. I've got, just for example here, so we don't hurt an active instrument, a fairly expensive cello's top. Unfortunately, this cello had quite a violent accident and they couldn't afford to fix it, so we kept parts of it to use as training tools. Now, as we'd mentioned the alcohol already, that can be a really handy cleaning surface if you're wiping down door handles or counters or anything like that. However, if we put an alcohol on most varnishes, yeah, it's going to kill all the germs, but it's also going to start lifting all the varnish up. It'll pull the color, the pigment, and the varnish right off of the instrument. And you could just keep wiping and wiping and wiping until you're down to bare wood. And your orchestra teacher or you or your private teacher will be not too happy about that, and you can seriously damage a valuable instrument that way. Similarly, bleach is an excellent germ-killing solution, but also, for the same reasons, unsafe to use on most varnishes. What we recommend for any kind of varnish surface, like the body of a violin, cello, or bass, is to just use a soapy water. For the same reason that the soapy water works while washing our hands, it also works on an instrument. Any of your grease cutting detergents, without getting too brand specific, things like Dawn or Palmolive or anything grease cutting like that, break the lipid fat layer in the virus, and that neutralizes or kills the virus. So right here, I've just got my portable sink, and this just has dish soap and water in it. And what you're going to want is you're going to want a towel that's damp and a towel that's dry, because you want to be able to wipe it off and not let the moisture sit. So we can use that to get small areas damp and clean, and it'll pick up some dirt. These little hazy lines are dirt. And then we can rub it, buff it dry, and you go around the instrument that way. You don't want to saturate the whole instrument wet and then to try to dry it off all at one time. That could harm the varnish, but most likely it's just going to make a sticky mess from the soap drying out. So those are sort of the 4 things that people have asked about and recommended. And of those, for the body, the only safe one that's not going to harm your varnish is going to be our soapy water, wiped on and then dried off in small batches around the instrument. Any area that's varnished. Any area of the instrument that is black, like our fingerboard, chin rest, tailpiece, and pegs, should be ebony. Those areas are safe to use alcohol on. The only note I will make is sometimes they are dyed a darker black to even out the color, and occasionally the alcohol will lift some of that black dye out. If it does that and it's an actual ebony part, don't panic. It's not harming it other than pulling some dye out. If it's a part that happens to be poplar or birch or another wood and it's painted black, it'll start stripping that paint. So what you're going to want to do is take your rubbing alcohol and you want to take a gently damp towel. Don't pour it or spray it straight on the instrument. So you're going to want to rub down any areas where you might touch, like the chin rest or the tailpiece, our fingerboard and strings. Now we also touch the pegs frequently when we're playing, so you're going to want to use that alcohol on those pegs to make sure that they're clean. While you're doing this, again, taking care that you don't get it on any of the varnished areas. Now another thing that we touch frequently while we're playing, of course, is the bow. So we're going to bring a very dirty bow in and show you how to clean one up. So to clean a bow, you're going to get another towel with alcohol on it. Now if the alcohol is really high alcohol content, like 80 or 90 or 99%, you're not going to see a lot of shift in the hair. If it's a 60 or 70% alcohol, the hair is going to stretch when introduced to water, so you'll notice the hair go slack. We've got our gross part down here from a dirty thumb and lots of playing, but that alcohol will loosen up all the rosin that's in that hair, and it will start to pick up all that dirt. And I can keep going here and just keep going and going until that lifts up. And then you want to let the hair air dry with it completely loosened before you retighten it and rosin it again. Now one last thing the teacher asked me to go over was how to clean gross strings. Very often the strings in our bow play area here between the bridge and the end of the fingerboard get rosin collected on them, and it looks like little nuggets, little rosin boogers, I joke. There are ways to clean that off that are more or less aggressive. Obviously changing your strings when they're worn out or dirty is helpful, but a lot of times schools and students let their strings go for a very long time before they get changed, just because of budget. Steel wool, this gray stuff right here, can be really handy to clean that off. That's what we use in the shop to scrub rosin off of fingerboards when we've taken instruments apart to process them, and to clean rosin off of strings when they don't quite need changed. But I don't love that for at-home use. The reason being, the steel wool tends to make little tufts that sort of go everywhere. And we as humans are mostly water, and we breathe and sweat out a lot of moisture. And you get the steel mixed with the water, you get these little rust balls, or little rust spots. And if that's caught on your strings, it can start the rust if you have a steel string and promote that rust growth up and down. What I do prefer is bronze wool. Bronze cannot rust. It doesn't have iron in it. And what we do is we really, really gently get the bronze wool just damp with some alcohol. The alcohol here is less for a cleaning purpose in the terms of sanitizing or germs, and more to loosen up the rosin. And you'll polish the strings. It'll make an awful noise like that. Between the fingerboard and the bridge. Making sure that you get all that rosin off. So what I'm doing there is I'm sort of, if you imagine this is the string, I'm wrapping the wool around it as I polish back and forth. And so you can see the difference on this side where there's a little bit of rosin dust and tarnish, and this side it's a dark gray over here and it's a bright shiny over here again. That's because I've polished all that rosin dust and tarnish off. The nice thing about the bronze too, steel is a very hard metal. We make saw blades and all sorts of other cutting things out of it. Bronze is a fairly soft metal. Bronze is softer than most of the metals that the strings are made out of, so it generally won't harm your strings and cut any material off that you need them to be there to make them sound good. If you folks have any questions about cleaning a bowed string instrument, don't hesitate to reach out to us. The store number here is 559-298-4400. I can be reached directly at Connor@GottschalkMusicCenter.net. We'll put this information on a link with the video. I love questions. I love curious minds. So don't hesitate to reach out if you have any comments, questions, or concerns about different ways to keep your instrument healthy and happy. It's better to check first or even bring it in than to accidentally damage it yourself and end up with an accidental expensive repair. Again, this is Connor Habib at Gottschalk Music Center here in Old Town Clovis, and we hope you folks have a wonderful day and have learned a lot from this video.